And we buy practices. I always say we buy practices that are a Ford Taurus and we turn them into a Lexus.
Welcome, Genesis Nation. I got a special treat for everybody today. I have with us Dr. Jeff Danielson with not just one company and concepts. I had the great fortune of meeting Jeff in a very vulnerable space where we were learning how to do some in-depth public speaking training with Roberto Monaco, who's a common friend of ours. Always great to be connected by powerful humans, right? And Jeff is a chiropractor in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but more than a chiropractor, he's a businessman, entrepreneur. And we're going to be talking about two things today. One is Big Fish Enterprises, which is your coaching organization, and other. And I'm going to let you expand on that. And then also, you have a seminar coming up that we're speaking at, and it's an amazing lineup of people. From Bill Esteb to Roberto Monaco to Jeff Langmaid to Brian Capra from Genesis here. So you're just filling it all with just the wisdom of the profession. And I'm excited to hear about all this. So if you can just lay it to us, tell me about Big Fish.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, number one. And, you said that we were both in a vulnerable spot, learning from the master, Roberto. And I got to be honest with you, probably the thing that I appreciate about humans, those that have this characteristic in their person, is authenticity and a genuineness and a vulnerability and an ability to be humble. Professional people like yourself, Brian, you are so amazingly gifted. And I saw that when I saw you speak, and it was fun to hear you speak and to watch you and to also see your humility. Man, that is, to me, that's terribly attractive, because
Thank you.
Because there's no room in this world for narcissists. I'm an older guy now. I'm 54 years old. I've dealt with narcissists my entire career, and I'm so sick of it. I don't want to be around people. I don't want to spend my time being around people that it's all about me. If you've ever seen this is really a rabbit trail, but Brian Regan is a comedian, and he does the funniest skit about the me monster. So anybody who's listening to this right now, when you get done listening to this, go to YouTube and look up Brian Regan, Regan. He's a comedian, and type in me monster. Awesome. I guarantee you will laugh your butt off, because it's all about the person at the dining room table who only talks about themselves.
Yeah, it's boring as anything. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And it's it's really interesting looking at and I know you're into peak performance aging. And if we can't respect our mistakes and lessons and accept our humbleness and what we've been through being humbled in our 50s, we're not going to live well into our 60s, 70s, and 80s. Like, this is the time for forgiveness and self-forgiveness. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to reflect the same thing. It was awesome. And it's obvious why you've been able to create such amazing, I'm going to say, chiropractic grandchildren, because in my experience in chiropractic, I've seen my elders before me eat their young, and you have just amplified and evolved chiropractors, whereas you've helped them grow, got business, created, got your worth or whatever it was, for teaching them, and then expanded so they could do the same thing. I know you're going to dive into that in a minute, if that's cool.
Yeah. So, and this all came from, Big Fish Enterprises came out of, the quote unquote problem that I had, which was I would go and speak to the students at the chiropractic school in Bloomington, Minnesota. And I would resonate with certain people in the class, and they would always come running up after class and say, "Hey, I'd love to be an intern in your office," or "I would like to I'm getting a call here, so I got to send that to voicemail." Okay. Or I'd like to be an associate in your office. Do you have any job opportunities, et cetera, that kind of thing. And And so I would bring on associates, and I would bring on an associate and I would pour into them and teach them everything I knew about business and adjusting and managing patients and doing all this stuff. And about a year and a half into it, they would shake my hand and say, "Thanks, Dr. Jeff. I'm going to go open a practice for myself." Yeah. And then I would have to start over again. And I'm a slow learner. I think it was the 7th associate that did that, that I finally said, "You know what? I'm sick of this. We got to figure out something different." So what I did, because I was attracting entrepreneurs, I was attracting people that desired to have a business and to be successful in running a practice, not just being, there's a place
not just a clinician or a caregiver. You were attracting entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Right. And so because of that, then I designed a program called, Big Fish Training, where I would bring associates into my practice with the intent that they not stay. And the whole intent is bring them on, and pour everything into them. And if they do everything that I ask them to do, and they show me that they're worthy of being a partner of mine, and I show them that I am worthy of being a partner for you, then together we're going to go and buy a practice together, and we're going to own that practice together. You're going to, the young doctor, you're going to run it. You're going to be the director of the clinic. I'm not going to go in there and do adjustments, but I'm the wherewithal, the financial wherewithal on the backside, and I'm going to coach you through all the problems and the challenges that you have in running a practice for a period of 3 years. And then I'm going to be out. You're going to buy me out. You're going to buy my portion, and then you're 100% owner on your own. And this program was focused on one thing, and that is paying it forward. And the pay it forward focused portion of Big Fish was born in that idea. And so I've done that 11 times now, and owned 11 clinics, and it's been wildly successful. Very fulfilling for me to see these young doctors, flourish. And we buy practices. I always say we buy practices that are a Ford Taurus, and we turn them into a Lexus. Awesome. Because we do that by putting a better driver in it.
Yeah,
we put a trained chiropractor that is trained by me for a couple of years in my practice, side by side, shoulder to shoulder with me, learning all the principles of running a business, and getting patients, marketing, and getting patients on care, getting them to follow through with care plans, etc. Everything to be successful. They learn it in about 2 years in my practice. We go buy a practice. 3 years later, they're on their own and wildly successful. So
that's awesome. So there's 2 things I'm pulling from that. One is patience, and which allows you to experience longevity. Obviously, humility. I can see that for sure. And just as like an on the field question, do you stack one associate on top of the other? Like, meaning when you're ready to go buy the other practice, do you pull the other one in and go back to the training, or does the previous chiro train the next chiro?
You mean the chiro that is selling us their practice?
Well, let's say, when you first started, the one chiro is leaving, you're opening another practice with them. The next chiro associate is coming in. Are they training each other? You go back to the grind and train? I'm just curious on how that works.
Okay, so I never leave my current practice. I'm in my current practice. That's my training center. And in my training center, I've had as many as 7 associates at one time.
Wow.
All at a different level, at a different position in the company, because they came on at different times. And then awesome. As one is leaving, so right now I actually just got done training 2 of my doctors. I've got 2 in my training program right now, and I've got 4 new interns that are starting with me in January. Wow. And so we're looking to backfill. I'm always looking 2 or 3 years in advance to who's going to backfill once I buy a practice for the doctors that I currently have. So awesome. It's a little bit of a shell game, trying to move people around and make sure that we're always on track. But you know what? God has always placed the right people in front of me at the right time, and the right person will arrive. Yes. When I'm ready for that person. And so So far it's worked out great. I've got 4 interns starting. Not all 4 of them are going to be good fits for my program, but I'm hoping that I find 2 out of the 4 that are, and then we can keep it going. But
That is fantastic.
so creating that program, then that's what I started with, and the idea then is that these clinics that I purchased with these other doctors, the idea is that they then have to do the same. So it doesn't stop with that. It doesn't stop with, okay, we bought a practice together and now you have your successful practice. No, the idea now is you find an associate to come into your practice and you pour into them and you teach them and you pay it forward to them. And now you buy a practice for them.
Nice.
And so by doing
Love
that,
it.
now I actually have great grandchildren in
And
practice.
I look at it like as a synapse and interneurons, like, we're speaking chiropractic here, but like as it just continues to expand, there's no end in sight, which is awesome. Because like you're gonna have great grandchildren even when you're sitting back hanging out in one of your restaurants. So
Right.
I have a question just as a business person. We went through COVID recently. Any because pivoting is a really important thing in business, no matter what, because we get things that happen, right? Stock market crashes. Obviously, COVID was a big impact. What are a couple of things that you did to pivot during COVID? I'm curious, even though it was a
Oh
couple of
boy.
years ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that I had to deal with that most clinics didn't. Our overhead at the time COVID hit, I was at my biggest. $2.5 million practice in terms of revenue each year. We had 7 doctors going, and we had huge overhead. I mean, imagine having 7 doctors on your payroll.
Mostly staffing. Yeah, that payroll's heavy every month coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, my clinic, we had almost 20 people on the payroll, and when COVID hit, and all of a sudden now there were going to be no patients walking through the door.
Right.
I mean, how long can you last and pay $120,000 payroll? And so I had to make some very strong. So I mean, I guess the coaching moment out of it for anybody that all of a sudden has to go through something significant like a pandemic is make decisions quickly. Be decisive, and we had to make some very tough cuts. And so I cut about $350,000 a year off my payroll. And so that, I guess that's a pivot. And we spent the next 3 years rebuilding, after we saw that things were going to be okay, et cetera, blah, 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 we were able to rebuild. And now we're going, we don't have 7 doctors currently. We have 3, but we're headed right back where we were and going strong again. So.
Well, and that I just wanted to, hone in on, because I knew, talking to you better than most, like I knew you would have pivoted, made, tough decisions, and also, shown resilience. So, right on, man. So tell me about, so Big Fish Enterprises became a coaching organization, but are you only coaching internally within your organization? Is that what spurred you to? Oh, okay.
No, I'm not. So actually, my coaching program was birthed out of the fact that I was doing this with all these other, doctors and buying other clinics. And then other doctors were calling me and just saying, hey, do you do coaching as well to help other clinics? And I made the decision that, I should do that. And so I'm not one of these big coaching companies. I would call myself more of a boutique coaching company because it's very personal to me.
Yeah.
My coaching is very personal. Sometimes I get off a call where all we've talked about is family and how to raise your kids right and how to have the right value system in life. We talk about life insurance. We talk about investing. We talk about having other investments other than just your practice. I own 7 restaurants and a restaurant management company as well. And so people, sometimes our conversations are just very different than, okay, your PVA is this, and this is how you get new patients and blah, blah. So my coaching is very intimate. And it's also very affordable because I mean, I do that because it's a passion. I love helping and I love teaching chiropractors. And so I keep my coaching very affordable,
Awesome.
and very personal. So my coaching company came out of the Pay It Forward program. And then the other piece that is really fun for me is Team Doc. So I have I have a program called Big Fish Team Doc, and so I'll ask you this question, and you've been around a long time. So
Yeah.
Has a patient ever asked you to sponsor their flag football team or sponsor their little league team? You know,
Yes.
my son's on a 3rd grade little league team and they're getting jerseys, you know, we'll put your name on our jersey
And the banner on the field. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and for the first 15 years in practice, I did that probably 25 different times. You throw them, you know, $200, $300, $400, whatever. They put your name on the jersey, and guess how many new patients you get from that? 0.
Yeah.
Double 0. You get nothing from that because it's not confrontational enough.
Yeah,
just because
it's just passive. We're not Nike. Your company's not like, it's not just like branding that these multi-billion-dollar companies are doing at all.
Yeah, but about 12 years ago, I decided, look, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out, because I love marketing. I have a passion for marketing. A lot of chiropractors hate marketing, but I think it's fun because of our product. I think our product is the best freaking product on the planet.
Of course.
I mean, other than salvation, like, you know, I mean, if you're a pastor, you've got a better product. But other than that, chiropractic is it, man, because it just does so many amazing, miraculous things for people. But because our product is so great, I'm passionate about marketing it, and we should not be afraid to shout it from the rooftops. And so what I decided to do is I'm going to figure out how to get new patients from sponsoring a team. And I figured it out. And this was about 12 years ago. And so we sponsor teams, and we sponsor all kinds of teams. And to be honest with you, the ones that you think are the best are not. Like sponsoring the football team, like the high school football team, not the best.
You think they're all getting injured and all that kind of stuff, but yeah.
By far our best, our best ones are usually girls teams, and they're usually like dance teams or gymnastics teams. The team that I sponsored that actually brought the most new patients was a trap shooting team. Now, I don't even know if they have that in other parts of the country, but this is Minnesota. We got trap shooting. Okay.
Got it.
And I did a sponsorship. I walked in to the team meeting at the beginning of the season with the parents there and all the trap shooter athletes, high school athletes. And I walked out in about 40 minutes after I did a 7-minute talk. I walked out 40 minutes later with 81 new patients on my books.
Wow. That's 81. Insane.
That's not normal.
No.
Normal is probably 12, average probably 12.
That's still like when you're getting 12 patients in one 40-minute sitting, like that's a nice ROI right there.
Oh, and I grew my practice on spinal screenings. So I know all about spending all weekend at a booth at a county fair or whatever, or in a mall somewhere. I did that for years, and I will, we will choose certain things where we do some spinal screenings. Like we just did a doggy palooza last weekend. We got like four new patients. We were there for an hour and a half. It was fun. There were dogs there. It was local. It was, 6 blocks from our office. But our team doc is phenomenal. Last year alone, we started 168 new patients, started them on care, at a case rate of $5,000 per case, 168 new patients that we started. And that was started, not just ones that we signed up. So we signed up, like at that one, we had 81 new patients signed up. Out of those 81, we probably had 55 that actually showed up. Out of those 55, we probably started about 26, 27 of them on care. So, the numbers are just the numbers.
Right,
It's
of course.
marketing's a numbers game. And
And you have to get the no's. You got to get the no's to get the yeses.
yep. And so I did team doc for myself for about a year. After a year, I was comfortable enough with it to go to my big fish clinics, the ones that I had birthed. And there were, at that time, there was probably about, 6 or 7 other clinics. And I said, here's what I'm doing, and I want to give this to you guys. And so then I gave it to them to be able to do the program, and I taught them how to do the program. And about 2 years later, I decided that I would expose everybody to it. So anybody, if you're a chiropractor listening to this and you're looking for a great way to be able to bring new patients into your clinic that are kids, families, and athletes, this is it. It's the best thing I've ever done, and we continue to do it. In fact, we just signed up a hockey team today that we're going to do a team doc for, and a volleyball team. It's actually a volleyball club where they have 9 teams. So,
Wow.
So we're going to be
That's
sponsoring those 9 volleyball teams in November here, and then the hockey team is in November as well. So I still do it every month. I do them. It's the best thing that we do to bring new patients into our practice. If
and
you're
it's,
somebody
and you're really like entrenching yourself in the community as well, in a
100%.
family oriented way. Yeah, that's great. So
100%.
tell me about I'm gonna pivot us a little bit
Sure.
and tell me about Chiro Life and the seminar that's coming up. Now we are, this is pre-recorded, but we are going to put this out. So for those of you watching, make sure we'll put all the things down so you can get access to Team Doc, access to your coaching, to Big Fish Coaching, as well as your upcoming seminar, which is Chiro Life.
Yeah, so Chiro Life, I mean, everything has kind of come birthed out of the other things that I've done. And so when I first bought another clinic and put one of my doctors in that clinic, I wanted to build this family type atmosphere where, hey, our 2 clinics can get together. We can learn from each other. We can strategize together. We can do workshops together. We're going to get our entire team and bring our teams together, and we're going to have fun. So we went to a hotel. We rented a small conference room, and we did brainstorming stuff, and we stayed overnight in the hotel. And so our teams, which were a lot smaller at that time, but would stay overnight, and we'd have dinner together, woke up the next morning, and then strategized for another 4 hours. And then we all went home. Okay. And so that was fun. And instantly after we did that, we're like, we should do this again. And so then as we had more clinics, then we invited those clinics, and pretty soon we had, 40, 50 people all wanting to get together and do this. And I'm like, okay, this is becoming something that's a little bit bigger than, than what I expected. And so at the time it was called Big Fish Rally. And it was a time for us to just rally together and love on each other and support each other and teach. And then what it morphed into is I started reaching out and connecting with great people that I know in our chiropractic profession, so that they could speak into our lives, into me and into our other owners and into our entire staff. And so we've had amazing speakers from all over the country, just like, you and Brian are both going to be there. I think, and so I'm looking forward to Brian Capper speaking, and Jeff Langmaid is awesome. Roberta Monaco is phenomenal.
Of course.
And what it is if you want to bring your team into an environment where they are going to feel like the seminar is for them.
Yes.
It's to help them love the profession more, to love it almost as much as we as chiropractors do.
And that's such a critical element. It's hard to teach when you're in their face all the time, right? So it's not, I used to love bringing staff to seminars because they're like, wow, I get your passion, and I see it in these other people too. It's contagious. It's amazing.
So this one's called Build Your Army. So the theme for this one's called Build Your Army. And it's really going to be focused on, there's going to be speakers that talk about a lot of different things. I know Brian's going to talk about insurance and how to win the war and the battle against insurance companies. So there's a little bit of that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is based on communication skills, and I'm gonna teach specifically about how to build your army, which starts with you. You're the general as a practice owner. You got to pour into you and build yourself so that you're the best general. Then you can build the team around you. Okay, that's your staff. Build your team around you. Then it's your patients. This is your team of patients that are going to speak to your community. And then it's you getting out into the community and doing things like team doc and spinal screenings and other things to really literally change your community and build your team, your community team. And that's how we change the world. And if we do that, multiple clinics at a time, man, it happens.
And from a place, cool. And this is what I admire about you, Jeff, is that it's like, you're not coming from this egocentric, which you said, like narcissistic, like the practice is not about you, it's about the purpose. And it doesn't seem inflated. And you're certainly not deflated. For those of you watching, if you haven't seen Roberto Monaco speak or heard of Jeff Langmaid, and Jeff is a chiropractor, also brilliant on the reactivation campaigns and digital marketing. It's critical, especially if you're afraid to speak in front of people, and that's an edge for you. I encourage you, like, dig deep, get into the courage, and come to Chiro Life in Minnesota in December. So as we wrap this up, something that I've been really curious about lately is flow states. And you seem to live your life like in a state of flow, right? Like you're moving, producing, creating. Can you leave us with a couple tips? And you may agree, disagree, but I'm just noticing it, man, because I've met you many times now, and you're moving. I know you're a positive dude, but like what kind of triggers or things do you use in your life to keep the flow and not just, because I know you're not in business just to make money. That's a nice that's a piece of it, but what do you do to keep that flow moving?
Oh boy, yeah, that's a great question, but it's also an easy answer for me. And I think all of us, everybody needs to decide what drives you, what motivates you, why do you do what you do. And for me to be with you on this video and say, oh yeah, everything's peachy, I live a charmed life, I'm blessed beyond belief. I will admit to you, I am blessed with great health and a great family, and wonderful things that have happened for me and to me in my life. But I've had hardship too. I've lost $3 million on deals before. I've been in the dumps. I get to the end of the day, I'm tired. My back hurts.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you're dirty, means you've worked, means you've done something worth doing. And I believe very strongly, my faith is what drives me, because God has given me blessings and skills and talents and helped me learn. And so what I do is to give back to God, to glorify and magnify him in me. I just hope that people see a little bit of Jesus in me, because that's why God put me on this planet. So, and that means that I end my life empty. I don't want to end my life and still have stuff still in me that could have come out. I want to end my life empty. And so yeah, I work my butt off, and to the chagrin of my wife sometimes, and sometimes my kids, and I have to control and try to coordinate that so that I'm not sacrificing some of those relationships. But that's what pushes me.
Awesome, man. Thank you. What a beautiful response. And I know also that things like grit, you got it. And it's not necessarily sustainable, right? So like grit, you run out of it, and you've managed to leverage technology, process, people, systems, and I'm excited just to continue seeing you play your music in this world that you've created. And I'm really stoked about our connection here, and excited to be part of Chiro Life and everything else that's going to come out of that. So thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. And the more I get to know Genesis, the more I know that we're connected at a level where we have the same values. And when you can surround yourself with people that have the same values, man, life gets better, and it gets easier,
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Here's to better life, easier life. Enjoy. All right, my brother. I'll see you in December.
All right. We'll see you then. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.